Welcome back to another strange and mysterious podcast.
Damn.
I'm one of your hosts, G.
The
Introduce yourself, sir.
G-ster. I'm Defined 999, also known as Matt the Rat Roy Ball, also known as 910237. You know where that comes from?
No, where does that one come from?
That was my cadet number at New Mexico Military Institute.
Really?
910237. This
Damn.
motherfucker realized real quick that the military and the little box that it kept you in was not for me.
You're like, nope, I'm out of here, sir.
I'm out of here. And of course, I have the very famous Ghosty Roy Ball.
That looks like a ghost.
He's got a very, very discerning eye. If he likes it,
You like a little twitchy eye?
Yeah, he's got wonderful taste, this little boy. So we're gonna try this out.
Hey, someone needs a little trim, huh? Ghosty's cool though. Ghosty's cool, but someone needs a little trim over there.
Yeah, we're here. This is right here. Hey, dude, it's just running around breaking hearts, brother.
Apparently, all you need is a pair of cop glasses, and you're good to go.
Yeah, and my nightstick and my handcuffs.
Handcuffs. Hey, and it's just straw.
No, actually, and my taser. I'm gonna make you ride the lightning.
Hey,
I don't know, man. You know what? I would get tased if I could then tase someone else. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you do it? Would you get tased so that you could then give it?
I wouldn't get tased, but if that's your thing, that's your cup of tea, I support it.
Hey. I just want to see what it's like to ride the lightning, dude.
Hey, this is you.
Yeah, dude, it makes you just do some weird, your body moves in uncontrollable things. Hey, it hijacks you froth. You know, it hijacks your nervous system. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent.
Well, speaking of ghosts, we have some really good footage tonight. Let's check it out. This first one is a doozy.
Okay, let's do it. Did you hear that, ghost? You're going to watch more ghosts.
There's a ghost team, and they're in the Philippines. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to invoke like a response. And one of the ways they do it, they do this ceremony, right? Where they like go into where this grave is, and they do this like little ceremony, and then some strange shit starts happening, right? So we'll go ahead and.
That's pretty hardcore to be inside that little like grave-like depression.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Watch. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Go, Steve.
Let's check it out. So it's kind of like talking about what they're doing and stuff like that. I know that there's no volume to this really, but they're just basically saying that these guys got in there and see what that happened. Yeah, that's what makes it strange. Right?
That was
looks
crazy.
Like a fist goes up his shirt and you can see inside. How do you do that?
I don't know. Or, I mean, it could either be a fist or it could be someone pulling up. I don't know.
That's what it kind of looks like too, right?
Yeah. But then again, if someone was pulling up, you would see. I don't know, man. That's
isn't crazy. That strange? It actually looks like a hand. Oh, and then he gets tugged. Look.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Back.
And he looked like he got thrown hard, dude.
So this is kind of like the beginning of the ritual, right? Where they're trying to invoke and stuff.
Yeah, probably.
I guess this is one way in the Philippines that they invoke a spirit.
Okay, Ghosty's getting scared. Come here, brother.
Ghosty's like, I need hugs.
Yeah, he needs to be held.
Hey, is it Ghosty that needs hugs or you that needs hugs?
Maybe me. Dude, that's crazy.
But that's a strange video, huh?
Yeah, that's really strange.
Like, what do you do in that case as far as like, how do you say that it's faked? And then he gets tugged again.
And the way he falls here looks it looks like it would be hard to fake the way that looked, right?
Look at that.
Yeah, that looked very odd the way that it pulled. I mean, the only way I could see that being faked is if maybe they had some kind of fishing line by wire kind of connected to the shirt, and they pulled it, and they had a way of making it go away. But see, this is the thing, man. Even the thinnest, smallest filament for that fucking shirt, with that bright light, that direct beamy light, you would see. I mean, unless they went in and then they did it with fishing line filament, and then they went in and they erased it in post. But I don't know, man. When you combine this footage with the footage of him being somewhat pushed back, this is a toughie. I can't explain this one away. The skeptic in me, of course, there's always some amount of skepticism, but Gabe, I'm thinking this is a double thumbs up.
Yeah, like when I saw it, because this is from Paranormal Caught on Tape, right? Which is, I love that show.
That show's great.
Such good, they have such good evidence. But when I saw this, I was like, oh my goodness, like you can see the shirt pop out and it looks like a fist or something's pulling up. Like, how do you explain that, right? Other than, paranormal, right? So I agree with you. I go a double thumbs up.
This is a double thumbs up easy. Let's see what Ghosty says.
Hey,
Ghosty?
1 paw, 2 paws, Ghosty.
Is this a 1 or a 2 par, Bubba?
2 paw.
Okay, Ghosty likes it. Hey,
actual voice.
Yeah. No, according to Heather, his voice would be more like an Earl something Jones. I forget. Darth Vader.
Oh, James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones.
So he would be more like Darth Vader.
It would be more baritone and
Matthew,
he's so small.
Am your son. Come with me to the dark side.
Yeah, that would be funny, right? It's like totally. He's so small. He's like 5 pounds soaking wet. Anyway, yeah, dude. I mean, that's a hell of a. And you know what? This one's got the violence, bro. If I'm looking for violence, I'm getting it here. I'm getting it here. I'm getting.
Especially the tug on the back.
Yeah, the pull to the back. Like, this is some fucking paranormal shit where it's getting up close and personal, and that's what I want. That's the type of evidence where you have, where it's really in your face when people are getting hurt or they're getting moved or that's when you go, okay, if this is fake, they got to really commit to it, right?
And, like, again, they're outside. I think there's like 3 of them. They're at this place where, a massive amount of people were found buried, right?
Yep.
So not to say that it couldn't be faked, but that does not look like it's faked.
It's very convincing footage. It's like the foot, again, it's back, if we're talking about it. It's like the skeptic in me wants to be skeptical, but it offers up on this platter all these little tidbits that when you add them all up, it's like, dude, this really feels authentic.
So as agreed. All right, on to the next one, sir. So this is like a haunted hospital, but it's a wing of the hospital that they don't use anymore. So it stays on, but there's not a lot of stuff that happens here.
Yeah, they probably just use it for storage and bullshit like that. Okay.
All right. Let's check it out, bruh.
Late one evening, a few nurses decide to take a break and enter a floor of the hospital that is rumored to be haunted. According to the uploader, many people in this particular ER have passed away, and although it's rarely used, mysterious activity is frequently witnessed. Many nurses refused to enter the old abandoned ER alone, but since they were investigating together, they decided to give it a shot. This is what they captured.
That's pretty dark there, bro.
Yeah, turn on some lights, guys. What the fuck? Maybe turn on some lights.
Oh! Yeah, it did. It moved. It moved. It moved. Yes, it did. It did. How did you not see that?
Oh, okay.
Late.
What do you think of that one?
Rewind it. I want to see. I missed that last part, or I saw it, but I wasn't concentrating on that area. Rewind it a bit.
Let's just start it again.
One evening, a few nurses decide to take a break and enter a floor of the hospital that is rumored to be haunted.
Like a team, huh?
According to the uploader, many people in this particular ER have passed away, and although it's rarely used, mysterious activity is frequently witnessed. Many nurses refuse to enter the old abandoned ER alone, but since they were investigating together, they decided to give it a shot. This is what they captured.
An old bedpan. I think I'd be more afraid of the bedpan.
Yeah. This is pretty clear. That's pretty clear.
Yeah, it did. It moved. It moved. It moved. Yes, it did. It did. How did you not see that?
Oh!
You know what's interesting that I just barely
Was it like a can? Was it a can?
No. So you know what it was?
What
it was
that?
one of those walkers, like in old. You know how old folk use the walkers?
Yeah. Was it?
That's what it was,
up?
and that's what fell over.
Was it folded up or was it full standing?
No, it was just like those single ones where you walk, almost like a cane, but it's got the 4 little feet.
Oh yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that's what fell over.
It's a pimp cane. It's a pimped up cane.
A pimp cane for old folk.
Yeah. So this one's kind of weird. Let me tell you why. This one's almost too slick for me.
Okay.
They looked like they were a Netflix special, and the
haunted nurses.
The way it happened and the things that happened looked like they could have been very easily faked. The thing moving could have been pulled. That thing falling over, it was so dark and it wasn't bright. They weren't close enough to it. My jury's out on this one. I'm giving this a mid range.
You going mid thumb?
Yeah.
All right, Ghosty, what do you think? 1 paw, 2 paw, no paw?
Ghosty, is this one a good one, Bubba? Tell us right here.
Oh, 1 paw. She's being critical today, huh?
1 paw. He's drinking. It's a boy.
Hey,
he's drinking Haterade. Why are you drinking all that Haterade?
Have you been hanging out with your uncle? I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Have you been hanging out with Uncle Gabe?
He's like,
cousin Gabe.
Hey, close enough for government work. Yeah, so that one with the shirt was nuts. Second one, it was okay. Haunted hospital nurses. It wasn't exciting.
It looked a little bit slick.
Yeah, that first one is the one that I was like, I gotta show the world this one. That
one's nuts.
So
that one really got my authentic radar going off. That one really felt authentic to me, which, if so, is crazy because it, again, it's those rare videos that we see. We've seen a few where there's actual physical contact, whether it be the spirit itself. The one that really sticks out to me is that baby, where that spirit just grabs that fucking baby by the feet. Whoop, whoop.
He throws it. Yeah, that was strange.
But where. And then there was that one of the woman. Remember the woman when?
Oh, the chairs went after her.
Yeah, the chairs went after her. Whether it's the violence from the paranormal activity affecting you personally, or something that it touched does, like in the instance of the woman with the chairs, which was crazy. That's getting into that rare echelon of the top 10% of these videos.
In those situations where you have that type of aggressive, almost poltergeist-like activity, right?
Yep.
I couldn't imagine, what do you do in that instance? Let's say that you move into a house, right, and it's poltergeist, activities through the roof.
Dude,
now you got to deal with that, and then you got to deal with real world issues, right? I got to go to.
It'd be like getting bullied.
Yeah,
it'd be like living with a bully. Think about it, because you never know when you'd get pushed. You never know when you'd get cut, because a lot of people get cut, right? Or they get burnt, cuts. You would set up cameras and you couldn't even sleep comfortably because these fucking spirits would be all playing grab ass with your body while you're sleeping. Like, it's like either which way you cut it, violence, pushing, grabbing, getting bullied, or being asleep and I'm getting all up in your business.
Like, yeah, and then you got to figure out, is it want something from you? Is it just being,
just thinks you're cute,
tormentive? Like, what is it, right? Like, what do they want, right?
Maybe some spirits could be friendly. They're just like curious, right? I don't know. That would suck. Bully ghost, rapey ghost. I don't care. That ghost is touching you. Not cool. But
hands off. Buy me dinner first.
Yeah. If you're gonna get all touchy feely with me, you better take me out and show me a good time. Even if you are, a spirit or a ghost or whatever, we'll go to the bar and I'll pour you a fake drink and right. This is for my homie right here. You walk into the bar, right? You're like, how you doing? It's like, one for him and one for me. And she's like, who? It's like, oh, yeah, it's my homie. It's my spirit. Here, just put a glass there, pour a shot in there. We're good. Yeah, sure. Let's go out. Let's get to know each other first. Then you can start doing that shit.
Manhandling you.
Yeah, I don't know.
What if you said that was your girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
Hey, for the lady,
hey,
she'll have a gin and tonic.
She'll have a gin and tonic. She's very classy. There's nothing there. Dude, that'd be... Yeah. Dude, that would be a funny SNL skit. They should do an SNL skit where they're like spirit hunters, and then somehow they become friends with the spirit and they go around. Like, I could see Keenan being the guy who's like, yeah, here, give beer for my friend here, and it's like...
Hey, we'll call it ghost dating.
Ghost dating. Yeah, I don't, to answer that question, I don't know. If you bought the property, if you rented the property, at least you have options. If you bought a property that was already filled with that kind of activity, dude, because then when you're selling it, do you disclose stuff? Like, I would feel weird selling a property, having people sign on the dotted line, knowing they're going into a situation with a rapey ghost or a bully ghost or something like that.
Well, I don't know because I don't own a house, but do they have to say if that type of activity is occurring in the house?
I think in some states you can claim.
Is there ghost insurance? I don't know.
No, it's not ghost insurance. There's some. I think there is some clause though for, unknown phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
That if a bunch of people can, so let's say that you could say that past owners of the house or other people that have been in the house, like real estate agents or just other people, can claim, yeah, there's some weird shit in that house.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd heard even that depending on the state, you might have to disclose, just like you have to disclose if there's been a murder, if there's been, again, I think it varies by state, but I think if there's been a murder within
right?
Yeah, if there's been a murder within a certain amount of time, that's kind of stuff that needs to be disclosed in the exploration process when buyers and sellers are going back and forth. I bet you, I don't know. It really would just depend on the situation. But for me personally, selling a piece of haunted property, I don't know. There's got to be some karmic payback for that.
Hey, did your grandparents or anything like that, when they sold their property?
They did tell Magnus. Magnus knew all the stories.
They already knew what was going on.
Yeah, he knew all those stories because those stories had become family legends. And Magnus was around enough with my mom and dad, or with my grandpa and grandma and my uncles and aunts, that those stories had been happening since even our Uncle Hector was a kid. So it's not like all the uncles and aunts had kids and then all of a sudden supernatural weird shit was happening. No, there had been shit already happening before we were born.
So how did they come on that property? Did they buy it from somebody that
They bought
had
it in
issues
the
too, or?
50s,
Mhm.
late 50s, I think maybe 55, 56. And all it was a kitchen, a bedroom, and another room. Okay. And what it was the caretaker's house for that cemetery. I forget the name of it. And it had a kitchen, so it had plumbing because people would have wakes there before they would bury the bodies. They would need to have a fridge, a place to put ice for drinks, stuff like that. So it had been being used as, administration basically for the cemetery. The cemetery got knocked down, so all the rich people with the rich headstones and graves, they just got moved, but they had been burying state pen prisoners there for years.
Ooh.
And all they got was a little wooden cross that would disintegrate. And of course, lesser kept up graves just disintegrated into nothing. And for those, they didn't bother. They just asphalted right over it. So they used to find, my dad would mow the lawn as a kid and he'd find bones after a
That's
heavy rain.
nuts.
There'd be a heavy rain, and sometimes he would find bones sticking out of the ground and shit.
That's how that Bell Witch haunting occurred, right? In the 1800s, I believe, or 1700s, one of the two. But it was one of the earliest recounts of ghosts. One of the children had brought in a bone, and then all kinds of strange phenomena started happening. They heard knocks at the door. They would hear, a laugh of a girl, right? And she said that she was gonna kill the owner of the house, the dad, and he got poisoned.
Ooh.
Have you heard that story before, the Bell Witch?
I have not heard that story.
Yeah,
That's
it's one of the most famous ones because it was one of the earliest accounts of a ghost that haunted a house. And it all started from a child bringing in a bone.
Well, they say when you desecrate bodies, apparently there was a cherry tree that had a prisoner buried under it. My grandma would tell us not to eat the cherries. And the house just had a freaky vibe.
Yeah, that's usually what they say, is that there's kind of like a vibe to the house, right?
There's
If it's like, sorrowful or, angry, or there's always a type of vibe,
It had a freaky vibe. And I think that it was maybe even compounded because my grandmother was such an interesting person. She was such an interesting person, and she had a very interesting energy. And my grandpa too. I always felt like my grandpa had secrets. He tells this story about how and this isn't a secret, he would tell this story all the time about how a man showed up on the side of the road in Mexico, and he used to be a driver for rich people in Mexico at the turn of the century, right? So like 1920, 1930. He was driving, and he had dropped off a client at a bar or at a poker game or something. He was heading home. It was all done for the day, and it was a really remote dirt road to Mexico, turn of the century. And this man just popped up in his headlights, and these were the old headlights that weren't all too hot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So of course, you had to be right on him almost, probably. This man just popped up this side of the road with this huge smile. He said he had just this almost abnormally large smile. And my grandfather said that there was this urge it was almost like he was calling him. And so instinctually, my grandpa turned to hit the dude, right? And my grandfather said he didn't hit anything. He didn't feel anything. There was no bunk. There was no hit. He was just there. He turned to hit him. He got close, and that's where he said there was something so weird about his smile. And then he was just gone.
Yeah, it's weird.
And he said he just went kind of through and he got control of the car because he was kind of going off the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
This guy was off to the side. And so he was like, he was expecting a boom, you know, or something. And probably also pretty scared. I mean, he was about to kill a dude. And there was just nothing.
I know, that's strange.
And then he just kept driving. So I think also my grandpa was maybe more attuned to that kind of stuff. And he would tell us the stories too. My grandpa would tell the stories about how Hector, when he was a little boy, in Spanish, my dad would have to translate for us. But when Hector was a little boy, he'd be in the living room playing or doing something, and he'd hear a knock in the window. I think it was Hector. It might have been one of the other uncles. Maybe it was Dino. I don't know. And then they go open the door, and the snow is just virgin, and they heard it, and then it would happen again. Like it wasn't just I think it had happened multiple times.
Yeah.
This knock, and they go, "Oh, that's the fucking ghost again."
Yeah, and you know, for me, I encountered that too, and it's such a strange thing. Like, because especially like for me, you know, I was asleep at 6 o'clock in the morning when that happened, and to hear such a loud knock on the window, and it snowed also, and then going outside to go investigate, there was no footprints or anything there.
That's just so weird, man.
It was very, very strange. You know, like you're like, wait a sec. You try to rationalize it, right? You're like, why would there be a knock at the window at 6 o'clock in the morning when it's snowing?
And it wasn't just a one hit, right? It was a boop, boop, boop.
No, it was.
So it wasn't something that someone threw, right? It would be a boop,
it was
boop,
a
boop.
definite.
Yeah,
it was a definite knock.
Yeah, so it can't even be explained away as an object hitting the window.
No, and it was right above. It was right above me at the window.
Wow,
it was strange. That definitely is one of the strangest things that I've encountered. And a second time that's happened to me too. I was going down just the road over there, and there's a stop sign. And when I came to the stop sign on my passenger side, I was by myself. I heard knocks at on my window on the right side. I heard clack, 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 clack. And it took me a second because I was like, did I just hear what I thought I hear? So I thought, oh, there must be like a bottle of water that was hitting as I stopped.
Yeah.
There was nothing on the side, but it sounded exactly like you would knock at the window. There's a cemetery that was right by, so maybe there are spirits that were there. I'm not sure.
And you know, that's the interesting thing is maybe those kind of noises, you know, you always hear people explain them away as the house creaking or the house settling or as the temperature goes down or up. A property, particularly an old one, you know, actually expands and it contracts more than modern property, so they're really noisy. But if a paranormal entity, like we've heard with ghosts, you know, have to kind of gather energy in order to affect the world, or I don't want to say reality, but I want to say the world that we're in, our dimensional, what we're able to observe or record in our brains. It takes them energy. A series of knocks would be about the most simple way to communicate, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that makes sense.
Or things around you like lights.
Yep, same thing. Boop, 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 boop. Or things that are swing. You know how we often see swingy things because of, you know, momentum. You can just a relatively low amount of energy can get something to be swinging for a while. So it's almost like if these entities had to be completely efficient with their energy and they weren't strong enough, you would expect that swingy things, movement of curtains, very light, easy, knocks, moving doors that are already open like you often see, would be kind of the things that you see more often because it's just easier.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this crazy shit, like this one video where they're grabbing and pushing. That's different. Like you said, that's getting on into poltergeist, not benevolent, like truly chaotic and evil, selfish, jealous.
Territorial.
Territorial, because that's the other interesting thing. I think if these spirits are related in some form or fashion to either a former human or former humans, because just because a spirit is there doesn't mean it couldn't be an amalgamation of a bunch of dead people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You would think that this paranormal entity would take on some of the traits of the humans that died, whether it was one of them or a few of them. Maybe that's why sometimes in jails and stuff, some of that shit's so crazy. Because the personalities of those people are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Can be violent, can be territorial. A lot different than, a nice little mom that got murdered. Her spirit
just look at the Santa Fe jail.
Yeah, at the hauntings there at the pen where all those guys
They're bad.
So, it makes sense that children would be a lot more just kind of easy breezy. Maybe some, women that were murdered, men, people that were kind of maybe, died horrible deaths, but inside who they were as people weren't necessarily negative or territorial or mean-spirited. Why couldn't a mean-spirited person on the other side have mean-spirited energy? I think it's very easily, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. But no, I agree. Well, that's been our podcast. We'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.
Later.
Peace. We out.